Welcome to the Entrepreneurial CEO Podcast, where we dive into the real stories behind building and scaling a business. Each episode, we sit down with CEOs, founders, and leaders to uncover hard-won lessons in leadership, systems, and team building. Listen in each week to learn directly from real business leaders who have been in your shoes, had success, made the mistakes, and all of the messiness that comes with building a business. If you're ready to learn from real-world leaders and gain insights you can apply today, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Eric, thanks so much for being here, man. Caito, good to see you again.
Same here. Great to be back. It was a little hiatus.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Everyone, today's guest is Eric Mulvin. He's the founder and CEO of PacBiz Outsourcing. They're a BPO that helps a variety of clients deliver world-class customer support. They have over 200 team members in the Philippines, a fast-growing client base. Eric built PacBiz from scratch. No outside funding, no VC. It's amazing. I love that. And now scaling the company that prioritizes people, process, and now innovation. So we're going to talk about that today, learn about how Eric is pivoting, integrating AI, and changing, which is super interesting considering the business they have. Excited to talk to you, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to share my story to your audience here.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Before we start to ask all sorts of questions, maybe just tell the audience a little bit more about yourself or about the business.
All right. A little bit about me. Phoenix native. There's not too many of us here. For those of you from Phoenix, we're like a transplant city from people all over, which works out great because most of my clients aren't here. They're all over the world. But love working from home with my wife. She's also a business owner. We got 2 small kids, and they're a lot of the inspiration for, staying on your toes for the business. Because just like being a parent, and every day they're finding new ways to break things and break the rules and do crazy stuff. Your employees are doing that too. And if you got 200 employees, you can imagine the number of stories we can create our own reality TV show around.
I'm at some point during the conversation want to learn about that because things change so much when you go from like a team of 5 to a team of 25 to 50. Now you're at 200. Like that's different, right? So I want to learn more about how you manage across all those different folks. But maybe before we get that, talk about PacBiz, your mission, your model, how you guys approach outsourcing. It's a competitive space, so what you guys do that sets you apart.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to talk about it without telling a little bit about our story, and it's a pretty fun one. I took my last paycheck from my job when I was working at Yelp, which was pre-IPO Yelp, like 2011, and I used it to get a loan for my first taxi cab. So back there, you can see my first dollar. That's from the first ride that we got, and so back in 2011, 2012. And that's why we started the call center, is because we got the business. We had about 10 cars. We were trying to disrupt the taxi market. This is before Uber. I had my own Uber idea too, that 50 pages of notes that didn't go anywhere because we didn't have the billions of dollars of funding that Uber had. But that's how we got started. We were looking for a call center to take our calls, and it wasn't working. We were outsourcing to different companies here in Phoenix, tried answering services. Quality wasn't good. They were making mistakes. Our customers weren't happy. They were having turnover on their end. And so the people were answering the phone, they were changing out. And so eventually we're like, we just need to start our own thing. And I have family in the Philippines. My mom is from there. And so that's how the connection started. And I reached out to family there in late 2012, early 2013. And before we knew it, we had 24/7 operations handling all of the phone calls, to the point where I actually didn't even communicate with them for months, which is, don't do that. That was like lesson number 1 on how to not run a company. But that's how the call center got started. And once we could not take on, the business model change in transportation and taxi, but the call center was really the best idea. So we pivoted to the call center in 2015. And focused just on that, and built that up over the especially those first couple of years. We actually within the first 5 years, we got to over 200 employees. So we've been at this size for a number of years. We've been up and down with COVID and everything happening in the world. But yeah, like we built it from scratch. The first year or two was really interesting because we had just one client. We were losing money, and I was getting ready to think like I maybe need to get a job. Actually, I was going to go back and get my MBA, and I thought maybe my alumni, the school I went to, they invited me out to a MBA preview night, and I was like, I think I'm going to do this. And literally that night, I got an email from my client who referred me to another customer, and they wanted 15 people, and we only had 3 people on the phone with that one customer. So overnight, that changed everything, and I was like, I guess I don't need my MBA, and I never looked back from there. And then that's when the business really started growing. From that first referral, they referred us to more people. By 2017, 2018, we got referred to people in Canada and in the UK, and so now 50% of our clients are overseas, out of the US, and so we're in UK, Canada, the US, with operations in the Philippines.
Wow. Very cool.
And so do you have any US based employees?
Just me. I guess I'm not the employer. The owners. No, nobody in the US. Everybody's in the Philippines.
And did you start like a separate company over there, or is everything kind of like gig economy? How does it work over there for you, the structure?
Yeah, because my mom is from there, in the Philippines, you could apply to you're an automatic citizen if a parent is born in the Philippines. You just have to go through the paperwork, show birth certificates. Yeah. And so when we started the call center officially, and we're like, okay, we're not running a taxi business, we're running a call center. That's when I applied for the dual citizenship. We started the business in my name out there. And so there's a entity there. And every time I do payroll and send money out, it's always a funny conversation with the person handling the transfer, because he's like, who's the beneficiary? I'm like, it's me. I'm the one sending money to myself. So but yeah, we set that up, and that was beneficial. Like during times like COVID, the government, just like here, the government was providing assistance to people if you had a registered business with the government and you were paying taxes. But if you were a gig economy, there was no support for those people. You were on your own.
I love that. So since you have your own structure over there, you can have healthcare and all the other benefits for the employees in the Philippines. Good. That's amazing. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So when you started the business, and I'm curious about it now, like what keeps you up at night about the next level of growth or what you guys are doing?
You know, it's the impact that AI is having on the call center industry, you know, and time again, every time, you know, I'm seeking out experts. There was a podcast I was listening to, the Godfather of AI. And even at the end of the podcast, he's like, well, you know, we still got some time, but if you work in a call center, I'd be pretty worried right now. I'm like, well, what about the guy who owns the call center? So, you know, I would be staying up a lot more at night if I wasn't on this journey over 2 years ago. I started using ChatGPT in our business over 2 years ago, thanks to one of our clients who also runs their podcast, and they're an AI expert too. So he's like, Eric, you got to get on ChatGPT when it first came out to the public. And so that really helped me get involved with it. And already over a year ago, we've been using it. All the leaders, we've had a corporate ChatGPT account so that we could start building custom GPTs. I've been training them on it. So we're not like just starting to get into AI. We've been working with this for over a year now in our call center.
So where do you see it going with AI in the call center? What's your take?
The stuff we're seeing right now is people that used to need teams of 10 might need a team of 1 or 2. And I think there's some people that really are ambitious and are thinking they could eliminate the people completely. I think that's a mistake. I think you still need people. You just don't need as many. And the thing that I've been saying for years to my team, like, the easy work is going away. This isn't like AI came out, 2 years ago. We've been seeing this. Like, if you would have asked me 2-3 years ago about automation, I would tell you that even 2 or 3 years ago, our clients have about 80 to 90% of their calls handled by automation.
Right.
And so already we were only handling like the 10%. And so now that's shrinking now to maybe 8%, 7%. And when you do get a customer on the phone, they've tried the AI, they've tried the self-service tools, and they might even talk to someone that didn't help them. So now they're really pissed and they have really complicated problems. So your customer service person 5 years ago that was just handling basic stuff, they either need to be really, really well trained, or you need to get someone that could handle a very complex job, because the job has changed completely. The expectation of that person on the phone, AI can handle a lot of the basic stuff. So they need to be able to handle the challenging things, the stuff that if I can't figure this out, this is going to, upper level in the organization.
Wow. Wow. So that is fascinating. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
With the change in, with the changes brought by AI, are you seeing that? Are you thinking that you have to change your business model, the industries you're targeting? Like, how is it changing your approach?
Well, I will say we are in a unique situation or scenario because, as you heard me say earlier, I got myself into the taxi industry. And the reason why is because I wanted to get into an industry that I could disrupt. And since then, there's been nothing but disruption. And I don't know where you guys are based. I'm here in Phoenix, and this is like not the headquarters, but this is the #1 city for Waymo, for the miles driven by the self-driving car. And I could probably, if I was sitting outside during this interview, I would see at least one of those pass by my residential street. They pass by that frequently. We use them. I've used them before, but that's going to be the next way. Even if all of our taxi clients put all the automation in and, eliminate all the people, they still have the driver. And that is another form of disruption that, is going to come, and it's going to have an impact on our clients and customers. So we are looking at we're working with other industries. We do e-commerce. We work with software companies. And I think that's an area where I think there's a lot of potential, because with AI, software companies are popping up left and right. Now, are they any good? Is this just a GPT wrapped in some other software? That's another conversation. But eventually, the people who stick this out, there's going to be a lot more software companies, because that's what AI enables. And so then we could provide support for those people. So there'll be new jobs coming out. But things are definitely changing. Again, the taxi industry is very unique. So what we're seeing is very different. I can't think of another industry like it anywhere. It's just the rules that normally apply in business just do not apply to this industry. It's a strange one.
Do you find, so I thought it was fascinating that you said that, you're getting the more complicated calls, because of, frontline reps and AI. Are you integrating AI agents in your platform, or are you finding that your clients are integrating AI agents and only sending you the ones that they can't handle?
So with our current set of clients, a lot of them, they're these taxi companies. They've been around 50 to 100 years. We have some of the most innovative ones in the world, though. Some of the biggest ones that are doing a lot of the tech forward stuff. But it's still, I don't think all the systems are in place for AI agents to jump in there yet. Although there is a ton of work on that. But what we're focused on is more of the operational, is more of the coaching, is more like the clients are putting the technology in place, whether we do it or not. And they're coming to us saying, hey, I've already got this in place. Or like some of the conversations we had recently, I need 6 people today, but we're putting AI in place. And we need a company that's okay with the team maybe being 3 later this year, because we've figured out ways to reduce work. And so that's some of the conversation we're having too, which is, it makes it challenging, but then again, it's what doors does that open? Because I want to work with companies like that are putting all the AI in place, because if that's already there, the job's automated, right? The work we're doing, that's set. Like, that's not going to change, and hopefully they grow and we can grow with them still.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
So let's talk about, so you mentioned you have 200 team members in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you manage that. How do you, especially being here in the US, you're here in the US, they're all over there. What kind of structure, what kind of systems do you have in place to ensure that people are aligned, held accountable, things are running smoothly? How do you do it?
Yeah, that is a great question. The way we've been able to really grow this company over the last 10 years, with me being here just in the US, I think we're about 15,000 miles away from the Philippines. A couple things. I go out there twice a year, with the only exception being during COVID. It was literally impossible to travel there. I was actually there with my family when COVID happened. We were making plans, and I remember telling the team, like, this is not a matter of if, but when the lockdowns happen. But that great relationship with the team, and they tell me all the time when we get everyone together, like, no call center owner ever comes out here to visit, or it's very rare. They might come out once in like a 5 or 10 year span. I show up, they're taking selfies with me. People are all excited. We were hiring a new person from another island just last week. And she was telling me, she's like, your business is kind of famous. I was asking some of my friends that live there and they all knew about your company. And I was surprised. I'm like, yeah, we've established ourselves. We're all about culture. And I think that's another thing too. We've set these really strong values of family, respect, teamwork, compassion, and personal growth. And so there's some personal responsibility there. You know, everyone's got to do their part. And then some other stuff, just a really amazing, strong team. And we got a great leadership team over there, and we're building it up. You know, and I'm sure you'll have some questions about how we've had to change over time. We're in the process of one of those transformations right now, where we're bringing in stronger leaders to help us for this giant pivot that we're going through, so that we could really be the tech company that we want to become, and no longer just be considered just a call center.
Hi, if you're a CEO out there who's struggling with focus for your company, aligning your team, accountability, if you're struggling with execution, connecting the dots from where you're at to where you want to be, we've got a great program for you here at MAP. My name is Michael Caito. I'm the CEO. Most importantly, I was a client for 15 years, sold my company to a public company, and then bought MAP so that we can help other entrepreneurs with this specific problem. We're a 60-year-old company. We've worked with 170,000 individual executives and CEOs. We've worked with 15,000 organizations. This is what we do. Click the link below to learn a little bit more about how people just like you, CEOs, have transformed their business and ultimately transformed their life by running through the MAP system.
That's huge. So that's a great segue and great topic. You mentioned bringing in leaders that can help you through this transformation. And Mike and I always talk about how, and Mike loves to reference the Gallup book where they say it's all about the manager, right? Like the quality of your managers and your people have such a huge impact on the performance of the business. So how do you ensure that the folks you bring in either have those skills already or you're developing them? Like, what do you do?
Another interesting question. You know, that we have a lot of people that have absolutely no experience in the call center. Even myself, you know, I talked about, I took my last paycheck from my job at Yelp. What I didn't mention is I was doing sales, calling 80 small businesses a day, getting them to buy advertising on Yelp, which was pretty tough back then when no one heard of it at the time. And before that, I worked for JP Morgan Chase in a call center for a number of years there. Only frontline. I never managed anybody. I never ran any kind of operations. And so it's crazy to think that, you know, fast forward years later, we've got this huge team of people out there. But that's what we've been transitioning through. A lot of the people that have helped us get to this point, it's, you know, I'll share this. This is a tough journey that I think a lot of business owners have to go through at some point. The people that helped build this company, that helped, like I got this thing here. We had our 10-year anniversary, and 3 people got these plaques, me and the 2 other people that have been with me since day one. And unfortunately, you know, where we're going to need new people. And we had to let one of them go, and she was my cousin. She was the very first employee, but it's a part of our story. You know, it's a part of the transition to get to the next level of our business. And so that we're bringing people in that know the call center industry, know how to measure people, know how to effectively hire people. And that's what we've been doing for the last roughly year. And so it's been changing folks out over time. And part of it too is client churn with AI, with the stuff that's happening. We've lost some clients. We're bringing some new ones on. The new ones are more advanced, more tech focused. And some of the people, I think there's other call center jobs for them. So we're transitioning it. So we realize not everyone's going to be part of the journey. Really appreciate and respect the effort that everyone has made to get us to this point. But I think it's something that's not talked enough about with business leaders, that like, hey, you got to go through this over and over. And I would imagine when we get to that next level, we're going to have to do it again. And the people that are helping me right now, we're going to need to bring more folks in that have more experience, that have been there and seen that. And so, so we're in the middle of that right now, kind of getting towards more of the tail end of some of these changes. So that's what it took, because 10 years of not knowing what to do and just figuring it out on your own, it gets you to a certain point, and then we got stuck for a good 3-4 years staying the same size and not being able to grow. And so that now we're starting to pick things up. Things are starting, like the phone's ringing, emails are coming in. So things are changing.
That's good. That's good to hear. I mean, I think it's interesting, man. A couple of things. When you mentioned that, you as the leader, I've heard a couple of things, like, when monumental shifts in an industry happen, some leaders like put their head in the sand, right? Like not want to acknowledge what's happening. There's that movie on Netflix, Don't Look Up, right?
Oh,
like, Don't look up, right?
That's us as business owners sometimes, like, it'll go away eventually. Like, no, it's not.
It's scary and it's stressful, right? But you're acknowledging, hey, this AI shit's not going away. So we got to deal with it and we got to lean into it. And that's scary, but you got to do it as a leader. Similarly, right? Like if you have somebody who's not working out with the business, it's a tough conversation. Hey, look, you're a lovely person and you've helped us thus far, but now, let's find you a better place. Let's help you into a role that's best for you. Because obviously this one is not. That's a hard conversation, but you have to do it sometimes. So it's like having, you have to, that's what a strong leader does,
Well, and it starts with measuring each individual person on their performance.
That's where it started, really. Yeah.
It's like a 3-step process. It's like, 1, is there a measurement, 2 or 3 for all your people? 2, are they setting goals against it every single month? And 3, is there a time that you're doing a performance management process with them? And sometimes you can do that as peer groups like we do, but that gives the employee the ongoing feedback and direction and coaching that they need to keep elevating their performance, because your employees want to win. Like our employees want to know when they're winning. And it's really important that we create an environment where we can celebrate them.
Yeah. And, we were measuring stuff for sure. Like, I think, we have KPIs. The problem is, what are you measuring? There's so many things to measure. Are you measuring the right things? And so I think that's one of the things that was one of our biggest realizations. Like, we're measuring a lot of stuff, and yes, that can lead to better performance, but have you thought about this metric over here, this KPI? That could move the needle a lot more and faster. And so it's about optimization. Like we talked about earlier, there's a ton of ways to run businesses, but there's definitely better ways to run than others.
We talk about that a lot at MAP. We call it vital factors, right? It's like the vital few. You're right. You could track so many things where it's like, and then you have analysis paralysis, right? Because you're doing so much, you're tracking so much. You oftentimes, look, I love data. I'm a huge data nerd. I love it. I want to track everything, but like they don't all matter, right? What's really going to move the needle, and making sure you understand that at the macro level, but also at the individual level and the department level. So like you mentioned, you were tracking things in your value. Like how did you determine with some of these folks, like, hey, this isn't going to work out. I need to bring in other leaders because this isn't, going in the right direction. Were you tracking, they have goals? Like, how do you, again, you have 200 people. How do you determine who's performing, who's not performing?
Yeah, we had the departments in place. Everything was there. It's just a matter of realigning them and say, hey, you've been measuring this, you need to measure this now. But it is from the top down to the bottom of the organization where everybody's roles are shifted, I think. And that's its own conflict, right? Like everyone's kind of going through that, like, hey, the job that I've been doing the last 3 to 5 years is now completely different. And I thought I was doing a great job, but now there's these new metrics and actually I'm not doing that great. And so that's a big shock to the system. And so helping people through that process and coaching them and it goes along with the message. And I think what's been really fun for me this year as CEO that I've really gotten to step into with the consultant coming in, giving the support to my operations team, is I've really been able to step in as a visionary and really spend so much more time thinking about our strategy, where we're going, who's our ideal customer, what are we building for them, getting into conversations with our clients about, like, where do you see yourself in 2 to 3 years, and what can we be doing to get ourselves ready so that we could still be your customer and bring value to you in 2 or 3 years. And so a lot of it is around supporting them with AI. I'm just so excited, like in transportation and in call center too, probably every industry, there are so much data points. Like imagine a taxi company, every time they pick you up, drop you off, every movement, every time the customer, like the driver accepts the ride, there's so many things that could be measured that nothing's really happened, right? Like there's just so much data and the software companies will give you 1,000 reports, but what are you going to do with 1,000 reports? Like again, it's so much. So I think as part of the next phase of where we're taking things is being able to take all of that client data that they have that they're not able to take any actionable insight on and help them do that and help them coach people into the next level. It's stuff we're doing for ourselves, as we're going through this ourselves as well and saying, hey, we could put AI in QA, we could put AI into coaching over here, not to replace people, but get them to spend more time doing one-on-one coaching, one-on-one helping development, and that we're really unlocking a lot of people's times. Like, no joke, and when I was there in February this year, and we were doing strategic planning, and we started mapping out one of our processes, I think just in that one session alone, we identified probably 120 hours a month that could be eliminated without any extra, like, nothing, we didn't have to do anything different, just changing the process. So there's just stuff like that. And I think, it goes back to your question earlier. How do you figure out like what to fix, what to change when you're transitioning? And it's mapping your processes too. That exposes so much,
it does,
so much inefficiencies in your company that people on their own team are like, oh, I didn't realize that email I was sending you every time could have gone to this person directly. I sent it to you and you sent it to them. And there's stuff like that's happening all over the place. So, but it's so exciting to like, wow, we were doing that. And like, where can we take the company now that we have eliminated all those inefficiencies and streamlined things? So it's all the stuff you learn in business school that doesn't make any sense when you're there in the classroom, but like, fast forward 15 years later, like, oh, that makes sense now.
Dude, you don't need an MBA. You're getting an MBA running the business. That's my opinion.
The taxi business getting my street MBA. I tell people that all the time. Because I learned so much building the company, setting up partnerships with I got government contracts with that business, setting up partnerships with hotels. I mean, we're doing stuff with Scottsdale Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Super Bowl. Yeah. I got myself in some crazy stuff with that little business. And people thought we were huge. I was like answering phones out of the apartment complex. We were interviewing drivers out of the business office in our apartment complex. And they were thinking we were this giant corporation. It's funny.
I love it.
Hey, you know what, Andrew? Eric said something so important that I just want to re-highlight for our listeners. You said mapping your processes to find where you can be more efficient. And I don't think many companies do that, because you might do it once, and we work with Trainual, who's a great process company, online Trainual. And they're based out of Phoenix. And like, it just hit me. It's like companies need to remap their processes right now to look for inefficiencies and look where they can become more efficient, integrate AI. So anyways, I just want to highlight that because that was a really great takeaway.
Well, and it's so important, for your audience here. If you're thinking about implementing AI, you can't just slap ChatGPT on what you're doing today without looking. What you're going to do is you're going to automate poor processes. You're going to automate and scale up something that actually might hurt your business. You might have a process that's actually eating up money and profits in your business and not even realizing that. And now you put AI in place, and now you've made that problem even bigger. And so I think mapping them out so that what you're bringing, because you guys have done is you put too complicated of a prompt into AI, is going to give you garbage back. And so if you put the most complicated process in thinking you're going to be able to have AI make sense of that, you're going to get bad output. And so that's the first step, as we start building these tools for our clients, one of the things that we want to bring on this year is someone to help our clients with process mapping, because they're not going to have like you guys said, most businesses don't do this. It takes a level of discipline that if I didn't have the consultant to come in and help, I don't think I would even have it. So, and that's like, we're not all experts in everything. So bring the person in that could help with that, get it done in your business. And the ROI is ridiculous. Like, if you can't, unless you're really efficient already, then there's no point. But the ROI is insane for this.
Yeah. And I think people just are afraid to do it. But, I noticed that Trainual now has close to 100 certified partners that go into companies and help them, I guess, with process and then building it in Trainual. So good tip for our listeners as well.
Do that, because we spent a whole year. I was like, no, we got this. I understand. Trainual's great. My team's great. We'll get this figured out. And then we spent a whole year with not being able to efficiently roll it out. And it's a great learning lesson, because as we start rolling out our own software, I'm seeing our developers make the same mistake. And they're developers. They're not thinking in the customer's position, but we're giving them software, and then they're complaining to me they're not using it. I'm like, well, did we train them on it? Did we explain to them how this works? You're like, I'm seeing the same stuff of what we went through, like with Trainual, and they offered help. I'm not saying Trainual didn't help. They offered to help. We turned it down. And we were like, no, we're good. We don't need this. We'll figure it out. And it took way longer to get that thing in place in our company than it should have. Now, 2 years later,
sometimes you have to go through it first.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So true.
Eric, when you think about the next year to 3 years, what are the big priorities you guys are working on? The big strategic priorities?
It's definitely building out my AI innovation team. I don't know where that will end up. I do know we're going to be developing software for people. Okay. We're going to be there was a phrase I have been bringing back when I first started the call center. You got to realize, my background, I taught myself HTML when I was in 6th grade, and I built websites for people.
No way.
And that's how I got started. And there's a lot of business ideas that I've had over the years, not realizing I was some kind of entrepreneur. I don't know. The signs were just I didn't see all the signs, but, lost my train of thought on that. Thinking about
I asked you were talking about building out AI software for your clients. You don't know where it's going to go. And that's what, that's
so
what
HTML. Yeah. I started thinking about writing code, and then it got me off track. But I've seen the revolution, right? Been there with the HTML, with the website revolution. Another missed opportunity that I could tell you is when Android and iPhones first came out, I had this idea to start a YouTube channel and start reviewing Android apps. And I did it for 2 videos, and I walked away. And years later, I went and looked back. In 2009, my video that I made had 250,000 views.
Really?
And I'm like, man, if I would have stuck with that week after week.
Holy mackerel.
What would that have? I could have, there's a whole different version of myself. That was way before I started the taxi business, any of that.
That would have been its own business.
Exactly.
That would have been its own business.
Oh, yeah. Especially now.
Yeah.
So, look, I've seen it. I've missed the opportunities, and I see what's happening here with AI, and I see the potential, what it could do to transform businesses. And you could sit around and be afraid of it and stick your head in the sand and think, oh, this isn't going to impact me. It is changing everything, changing the way everything's doing business. So that's really what we're trying to tackle here is, how can we transform our business? Like, there's a whole new way of running companies that people don't even realize. Like, even behind the scenes, a business might look the same, but what they're doing with data and the decisions they're making and the way that they're running their business is never going to be the same. And the businesses that aren't taking advantage of that will not be around in 10 years. And so we're going to that and helping our clients, because I talked about family being one of our core values. We have a lot of family-owned businesses and businesses that have been around for generations. Like, we have some clients that have been around for over 100 years. So how do you make sure you help them maintain that legacy, especially in an industry like taxi that, I love talking to people about taxi because, I'm pretty young. You think of taxi, you're like this dying old industry where we're working with people that's doing super advanced stuff. They're bringing a bunch of outside money in to bring companies together. There's some version of PE happening there too, that at least in the UK, not happening in the US. But there's a lot of innovation, a lot of AI. And again, look at self-driving car with Waymo, with Tesla. We have a client that has a fleet of Teslas in Canada that we could actually, with our dispatchers, we can't drive the cars because they don't have that technology, but we can remotely monitor them. The driver gets locked out of the car, we could unlock it. There's some stuff there, but getting to where the industry is going to be at in the next couple of years, so that we're there ready to blow up. Because the sky's the limit. There's like, I started this when I was 20. My first business, I was 26 years old. And I believe that the average age someone starts a business in the US is somewhere in their 40s. I'm still not that age yet. So I've got all this experience. So what else can I create? And again, with AI, this is the message I'm telling my team. Like, guys, what can we do in the Philippines? Bringing AI. You think the US is behind? Oh my gosh, the Philippines, there's so much opportunity for just making things way more efficient and more affordable and cheaper, bringing the goods and services to people faster. It could revolutionize countries like that. So I'm excited about all those opportunities.
I love that thinking, because Mike talks about it too, thinking about like your core capabilities as a business. Yeah. And like, what I think about, like, okay, what is the actual inventory of skills and capabilities that we have? Like, where do we really excel? Our business might be X today, but we have all these other things. How do we reapply them? And that could be something else, something new that we do, right? And that sounds like that's what you're talking about, which I love.
Yeah. And also it's transition. Like, we're still all about people. And I think that's been one of the things, even though I'm not there in the Philippines all the time, the culture that we have created has been amazing. 2 years in a row, we've been Great Place to Work in the Philippines. The turnover rate is, so every time I tell people, it's the lowest anyone's ever heard of in the call center industry. In a place where most people have over 100% turnover a year, they're turning over all their folks. They're hiring everybody, over one person for every role that you have. We're at about 20%, and we have been for several years. Now we're going through some changes, so a little bit more turnover than normal is expected this year. But for me, that's what I am really all about, is the people and taking care of the people and building it up. Because the thing is, this isn't just a job for these people. We got a working mom taking phone calls with us. Chances are they're the breadwinner of their family. And this is not just a family with a husband and maybe 2 kids. It's probably the grandparents living with them, the cousins living with them. I mean, it's probably 10, 15 people living in that household, and that person's the main person making money. So the decisions we make play a big impact, on their lives. And here, I'm excited about this thing. One of the things I started tracking as a metric is I'm tracking the average salary across my entire organization. What's the average pay of people? Because if we're doing this right, if we're raising the bar, we're getting more sophisticated clients that pay more, we're taking on more challenging work, hiring more talented workers, then that's going to go up. And then I know, that, and we bring all the AI stuff to our clients, the profits we should be able to make, they should be able to afford us to be able to change these people's lives. And we have been, but I want to do more. I think we could do a lot more. So that's what I'm excited about being able to unlock with this business. I've been saying that for years. And I think now we're getting to the point where we could actually do that.
That's awesome, cool. Man. That's very admirable. Some CEOs are like, how do I reduce that amount? You're saying, how do I pay more to my employees? How do I put more in their pocket and change their lives? And I think that's part of it's rewarding. Being an entrepreneur is rewarding because you can change people's lives.
Well, 100%. I mean, that's why we do what we do. Like, I believe in, entrepreneurship changes the world because you raise the standard of living. You build a company, you hire people, you raise the standard of living in that community. And what I love about what you're saying is that I feel like a lot of people a lot of businesses in the U.S. still look at the Philippines as a cost saving mechanism, and they neglect the fact that it's a talent strategy. Because there's great people in the Philippines, and that's what you've discovered and what you believe in. And if you can, those small little, increases that you can make over there that feel like nothing in the US, they're so big for our friends in the Philippines.
Yeah. And, for businesses that have people in the Philippines, a small change in pay makes a big impact over there.
Huge difference. Huge difference.
Well, Eric, this has been awesome, man. Before we wrap up, where can folks go to learn more about PackBiz or connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Eric Mulvin, and I'd be good to follow on there because I'm working on my own podcast soon. Nice. So this has been great inspiration to get me back out there. So that'd be a good place to see. And then our website, pack-biz.com, PAC-biz.com.
Okay,
and then you can learn about all of our services and connect with us. And
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again. This has been a great conversation. Caito, good to see you. And thank you everybody for listening. And we will see you next time.